Wow, we are finally here. Welcome, everybody. It is my pleasure to be on this side of the camera as a first-time speaker. I have been a long-time attendee of the Get Organized HQ Virtual Summit, so it is my privilege to be on this side of the camera. Today, we are going to share with you 5 ridiculously simple systems to implement in your household to make you feel just a little bit more productive and have that feeling. And isn't that what we all crave? So a little bit about me before we dig in. Hi, my name is Denise Albright. I'm a married mom of 3 that is forever trying to stay one stroke ahead of the tidal wave that my family creates for me. So I'm forever trying to fit 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag and do more with less. So if that sounds like something that you can relate to, please stick around. We've got some very exciting freebies for you for just attending this year's summit, as well as a special bonus for those of you who are getting the all access pass. So we'll be sharing those along the way, but let's dig in, shall we? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is laundry. That is an ever-present task on all of our household lists. And so I'm going to tell you right now that as a family of 5, I do laundry about every 2 weeks. And I'm going to tell you how I do that and why. And the conversations all started when I was sharing with a few girlfriends on the sidelines of some field, and we were talking about just the overwhelm of everything we have to do in addition to our work life and these kids' activity lives, everything else. We were talking about household tasks. And I was talking about a few things that get overwhelming in my world, and they were talking about laundry. I'm like, oh, I love laundry. I love doing laundry. That's the most relaxing thing I do of all my tasks. Well, all their heads were like, they were on a swivel, looked at me like, are you nuts? And so I said, but hear me out. There's a few things I implemented into my laundry system that have really enabled me to find laundry, dare I say, relaxing. And I'm going to share those with you here today. So the first thing started out when a girlfriend of mine was actually, her kids are 3 to 4 years older than mine. So she was already kind of in it to win it when my kids were coming up the ranks. And her kids are very active in sports and school activities and dance and all the things. And so she gave me the tip to say, make sure that none of the uniforms, clean or dirty, ever leave the laundry room. I was like, that is brilliant, because there's nothing more frustrating than heading off to the game and being just before the kickoff, tip-off, whatever it might be, and to have the missing articles of the uniform. So having them, whether they're clean or dirty, have a designated space to have clean uniforms or a place to put them when they're dirty is key. So what I did is I built on that placeholder. When something needs to be washed, the dirty clothes have a designated area. And so what I did is in my laundry room, I have a designated bin that we call it the Wash It Next bin, or WIN bin for short. And everyone in my household knows that if it goes into that bin, that it will be washed next. And whether it is a PE uniform, a uniform for a school activity, sports activity, favorite jeans, favorite shirt, socks, whatever it might be, if it goes into the Wash It Next bin, it will be washed next. Because I am not doing laundry just because they need their uniform clean and it's in the bottom of the hamper. I'm not doing the entire load. In fact, what I also do, so in addition to having that WIN bin where I only am washing those key items on the regular, I will also make sure that all my kids have about 15 days worth of underwear, socks, t-shirts, shorts. Because what I do with my laundry, and I dare I say the challenge of doing laundry is not putting it in the washer and pressing a button or throwing it into the dryer. That's easy. The challenge with doing laundry is folding it and putting it away. And when you have those mixed loads, that is what takes up so much time. You've got 5 pair of underwear, a few washcloths, some shorts, some of the other, t-shirts, whatever it might be. It's the whole mixing up of all the different things and then putting it in the drawer and having to rotate things out and make room for it. That is the time-consuming part in there. So my goal is to be a little bit more organized on the front end. And I put in loads of laundry that are like loads. So I will literally wait until I can do an entire load of just shirts. Doing a load of just shirts, and then as you can see, I will lay them out as I'm showing here on my ping pong table, yes, we have a lot of, I don't even know what we do without this ping pong table. So much happens on that ping pong table as far as wrapping gifts, doing projects, folding laundry. And so by laying them all out, I'm able to slide in the hangers nice and quick. And so having all like things together certainly makes it easy. Similarly, having a load of just the washcloths or just the towels makes it so much simpler to fold and put away. Because by the time you get to the drawer where you have to put away all of the socks or all of the washcloths, it's an empty space, because there's nothing worse than having laundry to put away, opening a drawer, opening a cupboard, and finding that the space is already filled. So having that empty space where you've now completely emptied it out, done an entire load that is not only simpler to fold, but it's also easier to put away. All right, so hopefully by implementing some of those laundry tips, you're loving laundry. Now I'm gonna help you love packing lunches, because I know that is the number one thing that every single one of us, I've yet to find a mom who says, I love packing lunches. Well, here is a hack that I'm gonna share with you that can help you not only pack lunches faster, but it's gonna save on food costs. So applying some of that same logic of the wash it next bin, in our refrigerator, we have a drawer designated for the eat it next drawer. Now, what goes in there? Any sort of leftovers, the leftover pizza, the leftover, any sort of lunch meats that might be, last week's lunch meats when you purchased new deli meats and cheeses. Put some of those last week's meats and cheeses in the eat it next drawer. Perhaps you get fresh produce and there's some of it that needs to be eaten first. Put that in the eat it next drawer. The half of a lemon that you didn't use, the onion that you cut up and that's still good needs to be eaten. The hard-boiled eggs that also should be eaten first. Putting things in the eat it next drawer does two things. Not only does it provide a place to look first when they're looking for a snack or you're packing lunches, but also it will naturally clean up your refrigerator and keep things a little bit more organized, because you don't have all those ugly leftovers that are scattered all over the refrigerator, making everything look just a little less appetizing. So using first what you have on hand is the magic to anything you might be doing, whether it's packing lunches or making meals. It's a great way to save money. So part of our freebie to our attendees, we have a collection of freebie items. Among them is a Meal Minder menu planner. Use that menu planner, spend, maybe 30 minutes on a Sunday night is a perfect time to do it. Map out what you're going to feed your family, but first take an inventory of what you have on hand. Not talking like a clipboard and being all fancy about it, but just getting a visual on what you have in your pantry, your fridge, and your freezer to use up what you have on hand first. So if that sounds like something that would help you to use up things you have on hand to save on food costs and keep things from that eat it next drawer, use it up while it's fresh and good, then choose the Meal Minder menu pad as your freebie gift for being an attendee here at the summit. All right, so this third ridiculously simple system might be my favorite one of all time. And let me tell you where it started. So when my kids were in childcare at the Y, it was so precious because they would take a label and put my son's name on the label and tape it to his back. So they could refer to him by name, but yet it wasn't anywhere he could peel it off. Well, building on that concept, there was a time, I have 3 boys, when my youngest was in kindergarten. So he, of course, the kindergarten requirements for classroom items is so precious, right? The backpack is as big as they are, and inside that backpack is paper towel, wipes, disinfectant, gel, all the essentials. And it's so precious that's what their classroom needs are. That's what fills their backpack. So one day when the teacher asked for additional wipes, on a Monday, I put a package of wipes in his backpack. Well, by Thursday, that package of wipes had taken a trip to school 4 times. So I took matters into my own hands and recalling that simple system that they did at the Y, naming the kids, and I used my own version and what I call Heale and Sheale. And let me tell you what that is. So what it is here, as you can see, this is what I use. Okay, this is what the really cool product I use. And then I use one of these to go with it. Okay, so it is a Sharpie marker and masking tape. And what I did is I actually took a message, as you can see, and I taped it across his chest to let his teacher know that there were wipes in his backpack. So since then, I have used this simple system on many different things. For example, I use this in my own household. I don't know about you, but with having 3 kids, there's always articles of clothing, items from other friends that have been left behind that never seem to get back to their rightful owner. So even though we might say, hey, this gets back to Landon, this gets back to Felix, it'll sit there for days on end. So what I will do is write a message on that item and tape it around it and leave it in the laundry room that everyone has to walk through in order to get outside into the garage so that they can grab it and take it to practice to give back to Felix or Landon or Louie, whatever the case may be. And so by doing that, I'm able to communicate directly, and I don't have to remember to catch somebody on their way out the door. It's very easy to communicate. Now, I've also done this at eye level on the door if I need to remind my husband about anything that he needs to take with him or pick up. You can also put it on a steering wheel if you really need to get that message right where he needs it. Put it on the steering wheel. Now, given that it is masking tape, the beauty of that is not going to leave any residue on any item. So when you absolutely have to get the message to someone, I suggest using this very simple system of masking tape and a Sharpie. And whether it is on in the form of he-mail or she-mail or we-mail, it is going to get the message where it needs to go, and you can rely on the messenger to get it there. So that is my third system, which I absolutely love. This is a very fun system. So give it a try. And you know what? If you find new ways to use it, please share with me, because all of these things have come to be because I'm like, oh, that's a great idea to use it that way. So feel free to give it a whirl and then share any ideas for the rest of us. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is helping you declutter your mind. And here's the benefit of that. How many of you have finally been able to show up on the sidelines or sit in an auditorium, or maybe you're sitting across the table from a loved one for dinner? You're there physically, but mentally you're like 3 days ahead because you have so many things bumping around in your mind that you really can't even enjoy the moment you're in. Like I tell my kids, look, even the word moment has mom in it. Shouldn't I get to enjoy it too? So that is what we help you do today. And matter of fact, one of the freebies that we are offering to all the attendees is what you get to choose. In addition to the meal minder we mentioned earlier, we have weekly planner pads that have designated placeholders for tasks, to-dos, priorities, monitoring your productivity or your water intake, and there's schedulers, and there's plenty of checklists. So among them are the peak of the week, the peak of the day. You choose which one is best for you, because just like our houses, it's so important that everything has its place, everything in its place. And that is true for your thoughts as well, because you need to clear that mental dance floor so that you have brain space to do 2 things. You can actually, 1, think, right? When we've got so many things bumping around in our minds, it is so difficult to actually think through what we need to think through. And 2, with a nice clear mind, you can enjoy those moments that you've masterfully created. So finding the perfect setup for you, we've got a few that you can choose from in the collection that we have just for attending this summit. You can get one of those pads absolutely free. The peak of the week is great for scheduling out your week. We've got a very simple layout of Monday through Sunday. And then we have one that's a little bit more specific in having placeholders for priorities and meetings and emails and some little bit of meal planning. So those are also available as the peak of the week planners, as well as the peak of the day. Because we all have that day sometimes where it's just so overwhelming. I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna get through this day? Well, the first thing you need to do is clear your mind. So having everything in its place, so you know right where to look, will save you so much time in remembering what to do and how to do it, and then you'll have the brain space to think through it. So pick out one of your favorite weekly planner pads, and you too can declutter your mind and enjoy just a little bit more of those moments. All right, so now we've arrived to the 5th and final ridiculously simple system you can implement in your home to feel more productive, and we're going to talk about kids' keepsakes. So whether your children are just starting out school, they're in middle school, elementary school, maybe they've graduated, this can work for you. So it's right about now in the season of the school year where you're going to start seeing all of those crafts and keepsakes come home from school. Well, that starts out as a trickle and quickly turns into a tidal wave and will come crashing down on your kitchen counters and every level surface in your home. So without a clear system, if you're like me, my solution was always to just throw it into a giant bin. I didn't want to just throw it away. I had mom guilt, so I felt the need to keep it. But yet, when that happens, I end up with all of these giant space-hogging bins that are crowding all of my home storage area. So that can be a little bit overwhelming. And if I'm being honest with myself, I don't know that I have looked into one of those bins since I've closed the lid. So, and that matter, that's exactly what our parents did when we were kids. I don't know if you can relate, but there was a time when I was visiting my parents and I must not have been looking, because by the time I got home, my trunk was full of all of my bins. So now I've got the mom guilt of having to keep it since my mom kept it for decades. Well, I want to stop the insanity, and here's how we're going to do it. You are going to learn how to create a digital keepsake collection. So we can do that in a few different ways. For example, in those giant bins, you've got all of those three-dimensional crafts and things like this that really are very space hogging. And all of these little claymation doodads, oversized fun run posters, all of the gingerbread houses, the leprechaun traps, all of these things that come home from school that really you want to commemorate, but really there's just no space in your home, and heaven forbid you should have to move, you're going to need a bigger moving truck. So instead, do this. You are going to take photos of your child's keepsakes. Now, depending on where you are or your grandkids are in their school journey, they could be preschool. If they are in preschool and they're just now bringing things home, the best thing you can do is to grab all of the week's keepsakes and crafts, sit your child down in front of an open window, or not open window, but natural light from a window. Open the front door. I've done that. Your child sits down on the floor, crisscross applesauce, puts all of those keepsakes around them and snap a picture, because that is going to capture your joy just as you want it. Having the turtle with one eye years later is really not your joy. You know, seeing your child with that craft or keepsake and their smiling face, that is what's going to bring you joy over and over again. So if you have that preschooler who is just bringing in those items now, that's a great way to commemorate it. Now, maybe you've got kids who are in middle school or elementary school, and you already have those bins hogging your guest room closet or your basement, attic, or garage. And that's where I was. And so what you can do is take those bins out and spread out all of those keepsakes from kindergarten and first grade and on, and snap a group picture. Now, because we know the construction paper, the pom-poms, the cereal is not going to last and clearly should not be in a bin for years to come. So being able to go back and grab those keepsakes, snap a digital picture is going to be the solution so that you can keep it in a way that's actually going to honor that keepsake in a way it should. So that can also be true for participation awards and all those medals they get, and three-dimensional little crafts and things they make that just you love having, but really aren't going to withstand the test of time. So, and if your child is already a teenager or maybe they've graduated, then what you can do is you can actually give your bin to your child and have them go through and snap pictures. You might find that in that process, they are going to edit things differently than you did, and they'll be like, why did you ever keep this? Well, if it doesn't mean anything to them and they're ultimately going to be the recipient of this content, then why bother snapping a picture? So it is a way to kind of help edit it while you go. So now that you have all of these digital photos, what do you do next? Well, if you keep them on your phone, they're going to be lost into a sea of selfies and screenshots if you're like me. And I've got, I don't know how many thousands of photos, or even tens of thousands of photos on my phone. So you can manage these digital files in a couple different ways. One, you can certainly create albums right on your phone. That is an option. You can also use a Google Drive to upload content, or a Dropbox. You can even keep them on a regular hard drive or a computer in file folders for your children. You can also upload them to social media platforms, in which case you can have albums there. Now, with places like this, there's always going to be the ability to keep all that content, but yet there's some downsides as well. On those Google Drives or in the Dropbox, you can search and filter to some degree, but it's really kind of a stark place to organize files. It's not really fun. It's definitely very functional, but yet doesn't have that sort of like commemorative feel. With platforms like social media, you really don't own the platforms. And so consequently, should something happen to your account, well, unfortunately, you've got no control, and they can actually close down your account and remove all of those memories in a flash. And retrieving that, I don't know about you, but I've had friends go through that, and there is no recouping those images. So keeping them on a local drive is great because you have it right where you want it. But then again, I've also had computers crash, or something might happen to a hard drive that just suddenly won't operate, and you've got all those memories locked into that hard drive that is no longer functional. So the solution that might be the ideal one, and dare I say, moms in our focus group are calling it a game changer. I was experiencing exactly what I just described in the monster bins taking up space, and again, the never-ending flow of stuff coming in, and I just didn't want to get rid of it without commemorating it in an appropriate way. So I wanted to be able to keep it close. So what we have to share with you today is a simple solution that is going to do just that. And so it's called the Class Keeper mobile app. And the Class Keeper mobile app is designed to commemorate your kids' keepsakes in an organized way, digitally, from the palm of your hand. And it also does it in a way that's not just functional, but it's really fun and engaging as well. There are all kinds of prefab sections that will house so many of the fun memories, and create highlight reels for the first and last day of school, for their birthdays, in addition to having all of the static albums for every grade. You can also create custom albums. So whether it's a vacation, whether it's time with grandma, you can have all those custom albums within each of the kids' profiles. So one of my favorite features, and this is something that really isn't available except on platforms like social media, is there's a section within each kid's profile that helps me log all of those cute things that my kid said and does that I really want to remember. But fact is, I've written them on side margins of calendars and texted myself, and really finding those again is like finding a needle in a haystack. So having a section designated in each of my kids' profiles called Keepers is kind of like my little mini microblog, where you can log all those fun things that the kid said and does, those cute little words and phrases that you want to remember forever because they're so precious. And who's used to call a bulldozer a booze-dozer, or a hummingbird a honeybird, or an onion a yunion, all those cute things that are just precious. And those things will certainly warm your heart over and over again, but you need to have them in a place where you can go and find them. So the Class Keeper is going to be a solution to do all those things. Commemorate all of your kids' keepsakes in a digital way that's organized and fun, that you can filter and find, that's in the palm of your hand. Now, the other fun thing about this app is that it can also be in the palm of somebody else's hand. And simply by sharing your kid's profile with a co-editor or a viewer, that co-editor can also contribute content. Like I've shared all of my kids' profiles with my husband, who has some great memories. Because why should it always be you to commemorate all of the great photos? You know how it goes. Everyone will want to send you the photos, and then the task is on you to be able to commemorate it. Well, if you share your kid's profile with your partner, then they're able to upload content and stories just the same. And maybe you have loved ones who want to keep tabs on your kid in real time as far as what's happening. That could be grandparents, godparents, aunts, uncles, friends, babysitters, whomever want to keep tabs on your kid and see all those wonderful memories in real time. You can share your child's profile with them as well. And the beauty of doing that too is, as a sharee, they are actually have access to all of the shared profiles absolutely free for the life of your membership. So here's the fun part. As an attendee of the Get Organized HQ Virtual Summit, you are entitled to a 30-day free trial of the Class Keeper app. If you are a all access pass holder, then you are entitled to a full year on top of that 30-day trial. So just by giving it a try, seeing if it works for you, heaven knows we all struggle with these overwhelming mom tasks with just no clear way to solve them. So I'm hoping that you too find the Class Keeper mobile app to be your solution into keeping it all without keeping it all. So give it a try. I hope you love it as much as I do, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. That's a wrap. 5 super simple systems you can implement in your household today to feel a bit more productive. Hopefully there were some tips along the way that inspired you to do just that. If you want more inspiration, hacks, and maybe a little humor, please follow along. You can find me on socials at Denise Albright Studio. That's my handle on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. as well as our own website, denisealbright.com. So would love to see you there so we can continue meeting like this. Reminder, those of you for attending, you are going to get a free gift as well as a 30-day trial to the ClassKeeper app. And those of you who are all access pass holders, you are entitled to an additional year on top of that 30-day trial of the ClassKeeper mobile app. So again, thank you guys so much for spending it here today. I hope we continue to meet like this and have a great rest of your fall. All right, bye everybody. Okay, so just want to hop on here real quick because we commonly get the same questions asked when anyone hears about this ClassKeeper app, because commonly they'll think this is too good to be true. I totally get it. I would be the same if I were in your shoes. So a few questions we get that I want to get in front of is people ask us, can you make a book from all this content? So our goal is by holiday 2024, which we are almost there, we will have the ability to make a book. We all want to have that top of funnel, dump everything in, put through the ClassKeeper app machine, and have that beautiful book at the end that sits pretty on the shelf without the dusty, musty bins. Great gifting, or just keeping it for yourself on in a commemorative way. So yes, that is on our radar. Just want you to know that that is a common question we get that we've already gotten in front of. Second question we often get is my stuff safe? And I get that too, because especially if you're going to store it digitally and then throw it all away, you want to know that the content's safe. I would too. Well, I'm here to share with you that we actually use Amazon Web Services, and we have a backup server to the backup server. So far more so than my bin in my garage that's susceptible to weather and dampness and critters, this is definitely going to be ironclad when it comes to keeping my stuff safe. It's also, the other question we get is privacy factor and confidentiality. Absolutely. So unlike those social media platforms where anybody can see all of your kids' content, you are in 100% control of who can access your content by inviting them to be a contributor to your kids' profiles or a view only. And you can share them, your kids' profiles with whomever you like, as many people as you like. So that is another feature of the ClassKeeper app. So we often get, like I said, the book, the safe and secure, and the privacy factor. So the third and actually fourth thing that people will ask is, what if I want to get all my stuff back? Are you going to hold it hostage? Well, as a mom, I would never want someone to hold my content hostage either. So absolutely not, we don't hold it hostage. And if you choose to take all of your content and download it, you have that option. It'll come to you in a same folder structure as your child's profile with the albums, so that you can get everything in an organized way and keep it on a local drive or upload it to a Google Drive, whichever you choose. You have the ability to do that as often as you like. Now, some people will also say, well, what if my child's already grown and I'm really not adding more content to it, but you want to keep it safe? There is going to be a membership that's kind of like an archive membership where it's just there as a storage to keep all your content safe. So that is an option there until your grown child can make a decision. Do they want to take over the membership and add their own children's profiles to their new membership? They can do that and still have all of their own files without necessarily, your mom dumping it into the trunk of their car when they're not looking, like it happened to many of us. So that is another thing that we get to is, will I be able to get my content back? Absolutely, you can do that. You can actually cancel your membership after that, whichever you choose. There is a download fee to do that. There is a manual process, but it's very affordable, and it's something that is definitely, if that gives you the peace of mind to have all of that in your own local drive, then you are welcome to do that, as well as having the ability to transfer your membership. So just wanted to kind of get ahead of a few questions that we commonly get, just to kind of put your mind at ease that I'm here for you. I live in parallel worlds just like you, and these are all the things that would bubble up in the top of my mind. So I wanted to make sure I got you. All right, again, thanks for watching. All right, so this fifth and final super simple system, anything go bad. So by practicing that a 30-day free trial of the ClassKeeper app and the all access app. No. All right, so this fifth and final